So first of all, if you just Google choose your own adventures with Google Slides, you're going to get a ton of stuff. Like look at this. I Googled this because I was actually looking for something specific that I can't find and it's irritating. I first heard about creating a choose your own adventure with Google Slides when I was in the classroom and I did it with my students and it was awesome. But there's a couple different ways you can use this and actually setting them up is relatively simple, but it does take some interesting type of thinking in the classroom, which we'll get into just a little bit. So, if you're unfamiliar with the Choose Your Own Adventure, there are books where I guess they, at least I know them as books where like you'd read a passage and then you could choose option A or B or multiple options, and it tells you to like go to a certain page, and then you literally get to craft your own narrative and story. So there's a couple different ways you can use this. We are actually using a choose your own adventure as a choice board right now. So this slide is a choose your own adventure because you can click on things and go to different places and you're not acting in a linear sense. You're hopping around based off your own needs. So it's really good in that sense for like a teacher to create something and give to students, and then you can use that as a choice board or as differentiated learning or some universal access activities or pathways just to meet the needs of multiple levels of learners. They do take a bit of time to create, obviously, because there needs to be a lot of structure. Because what you're doing is you're giving over control of the learning to the students. And so when you do that, you need to make sure there's specific structures in place, and then your role as a teacher changes because you walk around and facilitate. So that's the first way that I've seen these in the classroom, using them as choice boards. Give those to students, and then they can craft their own pathways to engage in a learning that's most appropriate for them. The other way, and the one that I think is, I'm not going to say more exciting, but like a little more fun, because I'm always a big fan of giving students the power to create, is to get students to create their own choose your own adventures. I use these as a way to craft narrative writing because it just fits very well into that, right? A student writes a narrative, but uh, like they write offline and they do all their planning and then they turn it into a choose your own adventure. And then takes this computational thinking isn't really the right term, but it does take some organizational thinking where like I'm going to put my slides here, and it really allows them to craft and think of their story in a different dimension, which is a ton of fun. So we'll do that a little bit. I'm going to show you some of the basics, but really the best way to learn these things once you know the basics is to figure it out on your own and play around with it, and then I'm obviously here to help you out. So uh, like getting students the power of creation uh, is one of those really powerful things. But it doesn't just have to be an ELA technique. You could absolutely put this into any content area. It just takes a little bit of creativity to think outside the box in that and how much you use that. So just know that it is kind of an open platform or playground to be able to goof around with, and how you choose to implement it is really what really depends on the type of learning you want for your students. So there are just a couple of features that you need to know about in order to create a choose your own adventure. So I am going to kind of bounce back and forth between this presentation here and a brand new one. Maybe we'll see. I haven't. Yeah. So I just want to show you how this is set up. There's a couple of features here, and the biggest one is the ability to link to different slides within a presentation. So what I mean by that is if I highlight a piece of text and I come up here to this icon that says insert link, or I could hit Control K on my keyboard and that creates a link. You can paste a link in here and that will go to any sort of external source. And that's great. But you also have the option all the way down here at the bottom to link to slides in this presentation. And that is the key feature. So if I click on this, it's then going to pull up every single possible slide here. And all I have to do is select one. And this is now a link that's going to take me down to slide 11. That's it. That is a choose your own adventure novel. I mean, that's the basic functionality is you provide some kind of narrative, some kind of choice, and then you provide these multiple pathways by linking within the slides. And again, that is at the very foundational level. You absolutely could like link to outside places and different videos and all those things. Like it can get really goofy and super awesome, but I recommend keeping it relatively simple at first. So I'm going to take that link off there because we don't really need that. So that is, I'm just looking over here at my notes. That is the basic functionality of a choose your own adventure. Now, what I have done on here, and actually stole this tip from a colleague of mine because I found this to be super, super helpful. But this gets a little bit more complicated. Is the text box you're clicking on here isn't actually the one with the text in it. Notice if I double click in there, and then I type. I'm going to be writing over there. So that's actually an empty text box, and it's sitting over the actual text box that I have here for your text. The reason I do that is because if you can just make the text box itself the link rather than the text, it is much easier to click on because I can click anywhere on here and I don't have to just click on the text. Most people will go and click on the text, but it's, again, not actually the text you're clicking on. It's this transparent text box that's sitting over it. So that makes that clicking interactivity way, way easier than clicking on a piece of text. So that means I could also click here. It just turns that entire thing into a button, which is super nice. The other thing here that I'm actually hiding, if I move myself, is this home button. So now we're thinking about these different navigation, like wayfinding techniques. Uh, the Always having a way for students to be able to get back to a home base is very, very important. Because what if they click on the wrong thing, right? This is always going to take me here. So if I click on this, this is going to take me to slide 9. But if I didn't mean to go to slide 9, my inclination might be to hit my back button. Well, that's not going to take me back to like if I go like this, I click on slide 9 and then I hit the back button here. It's actually not going to take me back to that choice board, and that's where I want to be. So always having this like home base that I can get back to and go to like the most important portion of my slides. That's what's really important because it's going to help with that navigation piece. And then the rest is kind of up to you. Once you have that functionality built in, you can do all sorts of cool things with this. You can create breakout rooms. You can create choose your own adventure novels, like narratives. You can explain math or science or history concepts or events like this. You can have students do presentations like this. Like, it is a really, really robust and flexible platform. So what I would like you to do is, if this is something that you're interested in, is create a brand new slide and start practicing with those pieces there and start thinking about how you might want to roll this out to your students. Because the trick that I haven't really talked about so far is you actually don't start with Google Slides. You do all of your work offline first. And then once you have that creation process, then you start translating it onto an online platform like this. And so that's really, really important to remember, is that the technology in this sense will kind of get in the way of like the actual work, the work process, because there's a lot going on here. They're two very different skill sets. So if you're teaching narrative writing, you want to teach that in some other platform. And then if you're teaching them to translate that into a choose your own adventure style, then like you have that product set. That way you don't get any sort of learning loss there. You can apply it to that online platform. Let me know if you need help with this, but go ahead and play with this functionality and let me know what I can do for you.